Hello guys, it's me again, your G Sensei, and we're back with our lesson here in Excel. So we will be discussing functions. So first, I will discuss to you the list of functions. So these are the list of functions in Excel. So we have the count and sum, the logical, cell references, date and time, text, lookup and references, financial, statistical, round, formula errors, array formula. So those or these functions we are going to discuss one by one. So let's start with the logical function. But first, let me open first, okay, the Excel program. So of course, first is the logical function. So we have if and or under the logical functions. So let's start with the if function. Okay, before anything else, before proceeding with the functions, let me remind you again that the functions are predefined formulas. And of course, again, a formula cannot be considered a formula in Excel if it doesn't start with an equal sign. And of course, when talking about formulas, we have this term called syntax. Maybe you are familiar with this word syntax sa calculator, makaingon mo, calculator syntax error, but actually this syntax here, when creating a formula, serves as our tip or hint in creating a formula. Okay, so our guide, the syntax. Okay, as I will have to share this with you. Even the grammar has syntax. Okay, so how to create a sentence. There's a syntax. So same as true with the formula. So it has a syntax. So let's go back here. So we will be discussing first the if function. So again, under the logical functions, we have the if, the and the or. Okay. So first one is if. So the if function checks whether a condition is met and returns one value if true and another value if false. So the syntax for if, okay, the syntax for if is when we will type equals and then start typing that function, okay, it will give us the meaning of that function or the purpose. So it's here checks whether a condition is met and returns one value if true and another value if false. So once we start typing open parentheses, it will give us the syntax. So the syntax for if, the function if, and then the logical test, comma, the value if true, comma, the value if false. Okay, so that's the syntax for the if function. So, but before proceeding to that, I will give you a scenario wherein we commonly use if function. So, for example, if we have here, okay, we'll give you an example. For example, we have here students and of course their score for a certain exam. So we have student Anna and we also have Bea and Kat. Okay, for example, Anna got a score of, okay, maybe we will change this one to rating na lang. Okay, for example, Anna got a rating of 50% or 50, and Bea, because she studied hard, she got a 97, and Kat on the other side, okay, just took the exam but wala nag-study, so she got under, like, for example, that's 46, the rating is 46. So we have to identify these students' remarks based on their rating. For example, so here comes the if function. I will type the if function. So the syntax doesn't have to have, doesn't need to have an equal sign because it's just a syntax. So the syntax for if function, is if. Okay, I have to remind everyone, the function names doesn't have to be small letter, big letters. It could be mixed. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's not case sensitive, so you can type it either all capital letters or all caps lock or sentence type like capital is the first letter and then small. So the syntax is if, again, logical test, comma, value if true, comma, value if false. So this is the syntax. So we will be creating a formula based on this syntax and of course this data here. So for the logical test, commonly we know that for the ratings 50, this should pass. Okay, so we will be giving a remarks of pass or fail. So based on that, what do you call that? Given that, for example, a student got 50 and above, then it should have a remarks of pass, otherwise fail. So we will be using this syntax. So we will be typing a formula. So of course, a formula starts with an equal sign. So equals if, then you can just press tab. Okay. So the logical test, we have mentioned kanina the logical test. So this serves as your conditions of what would that formula will be. So for example, as we have mentioned, the student's rating should be greater than 50 to have remarks of pass. So you should remember the basic operators I told you about, like for example, the comparison operator wherein we will be using greater than, less than, equal, not equal, greater than or equal, less than or equal. So in our case, we have mentioned that if the student got 50 and above, so we will be trying to convert that one into an operator. So that would be greater than or equal, because as we have mentioned, it should be 50 and above, not greater than 50. So 50 would be failed if our formula will be just like that. So we will be putting that into greater than or equal. And then what is your conditional? So that's C if C2, if the student score, this is unknown pa dito ha, dependent din niya cell. So if student's rating is greater than or equal to 50, then, okay, then passed, otherwise false. And one more thing, if you will be adding a constant text in a formula, you should put it inside a double quote. So here, passed, otherwise fail. So this is the logical test. This is the value if true based on this logical test or condition, and this is the value if false if this returns false. Okay. So again, you have to put a double quote for inside. You have to put the text inside the double quote for this one in a formula. Okay, so before I press enter, what do you think is the result of that? So of course, the result would be pass because it's equal. I-return siya din yung true. It's greater than or equal. So it's equal to 50, then it should be pass. Okay? So let's make this bigger. Okay. So how about this one? Do we need to type again the formula, and then how about we have thousands of data here, or for the minimum of, or for our case karon din sa CMU, one class has 50 students, so do we need to type that one by one? No, we just need to again use the fill handle. So this is the cell, and then there's a rectangle, no, not a rectangle, a square there, and your cursor turns to a plus or cross, a black cross or a black symbol na plus. So you have to drag that one down. How to drag? You need to click, mouse over, click and hold and drag. Okay? So before dragging that one or before applying the formula to the rest of the cells, what do you think is the result for 97 based on this formula? Of course, it's pass because it's greater than 50. So it's pass. How about 46? So it's failed because it uh, doesn't fit the condition here. That is greater than or equal to 50. So it will return a value of false. So, okay, let's apply. Again, click mo mouse over to the fill handle. Click, hold, and then drag. So that's pass, pass, fail. Okay, you got it? Did you get it, guys? Okay, so next will be the the AND function. So the AND function returns true if all conditions are true and returns false if any of the conditions are false. So we have here the given example. Here in the example, the AND function returns false because the value in cell B1 is not higher than 5, and as a result, a function returns incorrect. So in this given formula, we have equals if, and so we have two logical conditions, and then again, if this turns true, then it will if this meets the criteria, then it will return a true value, otherwise false. Okay, so in this condition, A1 is greater than 10. A1 is greater than 10, that's true. B1 is greater than 5, false, so it will return the value of incorrect because there's one which returns false. Okay? So again, you should remember the AND function returns true if all the conditions are true. Okay? And returns false if any of the conditions are false. Especially if both the conditions are false, then of course it will return the false value. Okay? So let's try that one. For example, let's insert here na lang. For example, this is the student's rating for midterm. And this one is the student's rating for final term. Okay, so let's try removing this one. Okay, maybe later. Let's just erase this one. Okay, so for example, so this will return two conditions. For example, Ana naningkamot na siya for final term para mo pasar. So, she got 78. Okay? And, of course, the Bea, again, as usual, na naningkamot si Bea. So, she got 94. And Kat, on the other hand, wala gyapon naningkamot. So, okay, so naningkamot siya. Okay, so sige, let's give her a chance, 85. Okay, so we will use the AND function. So what I meant is the syntax for the AND is just put AND, the AND na word. Okay, integrate it in the if function. So let's start. So our condition will be dapat pasar siya sa midterm and sa final. Okay? Dapat pasar sa midterm and sa final nga rating. So equals if and then the word and. So checks whether all arguments are true and returns true if all arguments are true. Okay, so this is the syntax for the AND, logical 1, comma logical 2, and so on. So our logical condition or logical test would be if this column, okay, or this cell, specifically Anna's rating or the student's rating, is, in midterm, is greater than 50, comma, and of course, for the final term exam, okay, greater than, again, 50. So, if that's the case, then the remarks should be passed, or, let's not forget the close quotation, or fail. So, based on this formula, okay, let's not press enter yet. So, based in this formula, what do you think is Anna's remarks? Okay, so itong manumanuhon ha. So, C2 is greater than 50. Is it true? Is this greater than 50? Okay, so kanina is it's greater than or equal 50. So, this time, nag-change ang sa formula ha. Ang atong gihatag sa logical test is dapat greater than 50. Okay? And then, is D2 greater than 50? Okay, dinhi sa ta sa first nga logical test or logical condition. Is C2 greater than 50? No. Right? So, false. And is D2 greater than 50? So, that's true. But, again, the AND function, okay, returns true if all conditions are true. Otherwise, that it will return false. Okay. So, kay wala man ni nag-return ng true, kay false man ni, false and true, that would be incorrect. False. So, it will return the value of failed. So, na-failed si Anna. Okay. So, that's correct. How about Bea? Okay. Based on this formula, okay, so, if, okay, let's just copy na lang this one, and then double click, and then we will change this one, okay, and this 1, 2, 3, okay. So, if C3 is greater than 50, this one, is it true? Yes. And G3 is greater than 50, which is true again. So, pass, otherwise fail. So, based on the logical condition, this is true, and this is true. Okay, this is true, and this is true. So, the result, again, AND function returns true if all the conditions are true. So, again, this is pass. Okay? How about this one? Okay, without the formula. Our conditions kaganina is it should be greater than 50 and greater than 50. Okay, right? So, what's the result of this? Of course, it's failed. Mas hindi pa nato i-drag kay naamay isa nga ni-return o false. Okay? So, we will click that one and then drag that one. So, it's failed. But how about worst case scenario? Let's give it a nga bagsak pag yun siya din nasamot na nga failed. It doesn't change at all. But how about naka 51 siya din that it changes in grade, and then naka 57 siya din, and now it becomes pass. Okay? So, did you understand? Okay, next is the OR function. Okay. So, the OR function is the opposite of the AND function. So, the OR function returns true if any of the conditions are true and returns false. Actually, I'm wrong. It's not the opposite of AND function. So, it's quite different. So, the OR function returns true if any of the conditions are true and returns false if all the conditions are false. Okay? So, I guess I'm correct pala. So, opposite pala siya. Okay. So, you should remember that one, that sa true kanina, and man siya, so pasabot, kinahanglan og duha ka true, or true sa tanan nga value nga logical condition, ay siya mo true. And this time sa OR, at least isa lang, okay? At least isa lang nga condition nga ni-return og true, ang iya na value is true. Okay? Pero kung phosphorus, of course, nakumpulse. Okay. I will give you an example na lang other than this one, ha? Okay. So, we have here suitors. Suitors, for example. We have the one first suitor. Okay, let's just name names like John, and common names, Paul. Okay, that's right. And we have here handsome or not handsome, and then intelligent or not. Okay, so let's try that one. Okay, so we're talking about here sa or. Okay, we can also apply this one sa and. Okay, handsome, handsome. Let's try handsome, not handsome, handsome. Okay, and then intelligent or not. Intelligent, not, not. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, so in the and, if ato siyang i-apply sa and, kanina. Okay, for example, you want a suitor. Okay, the and function is, kanina is, if mag-return siya true sa lahat. And then, you want na kung kinsa imong sugton is handsome and intelligent. Okay? So, this would be the result if atong i-apply. Okay, let's apply na lang this one. Let's copy na lang. Okay, change this one, that, and this one, that. And then, of course, if this is a text, so we should change the formula. Handsome, and this one is equal to okay. Mo gaming. So basket. Spelling sa basket, basket. Okay, Tagalog, Bisaya na lang basket. Okay, so if this is your condition in the and function, okay, if C8 is handsome is equal to handsome and D8 is equal to intelligent, sugton, otherwise basket. So, may mga uban nga gusto nyo nila nga duha nga qualities. So, of course, ang result ana would be, what do you think? Of course, kay ni true man siya sa tanan, that would be sugton. Okay, ato lang tanawan niya. Okay, apply nang nato ang formula later. So, kani, what do you think? Saan di siya nga function? Of course, obviously, busted. Kay dili pa gwapo daw, dili pa bright. Okay, how about this one? Handsome and not intelligent. Okay, so, busted gyapo. Okay, gusto man niya ang duha, and man. So, that would be the best example, no? Okay, saan? Okay, how about or? Okay, let's apply the or. Okay. So, for the or, just one itinatap ko. Okay, sa or po, at least isa, right? So, maybe, ako na lang ko ano na rin, piyaw na lang. Okay, we will just change the function here na lang. Okay. Wait. Isa na to. Yun. Okay, so let's just change this to 1. So again, the function used here is or. Again, if it returns at least one value or logical test true, then it means that it will return a value of true. At least one lang. Okay, so let's try. Handsome plus intelligent. Handsome or intelligent. So, sugton, busted. Okay, of course, obviously, naa sa iya ang duha. Okay, so that would be sugton, obviously. How about this one? Dili pa gwapo, dili pa bright. So, of course, It's past tense. And how about this one? Guwapo pero dili bright. Or man. So, remember the or, at least one would return true value. So, if we will apply that one, that would be sugtun. Okay, at least one. Okay, samot na ni sugtun kay handsome pa or intelligent niya. Yan, ipangita kaya either guwapo or bright. Okay? So, yun. So, I hope you understand the logical functions. So, we have, again, the if function, the and the or. Okay? So, we will move on to the next function.